If you don't believe in God, then you will go to hell when you die. Based on your science religion, you don't have to agree with other people, but you shouldn't be slamming them for not believing in what you believe.
I think Christianity has definitely gotten a bad rep. And I think it's also been misrepresented.
Off. The pill.
Shall we clappy clap?
I don't remember how to do this.
It's been a long time. Clappy clap. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Pill podcast. Oh, I forgot. We've been playing the song. I don't know if you know where that is, but there you go. Today we got
intro.
Sure. Oh, that's loud. Anyway, today Paco is gone, so we have Will in the moderator seat. We got David Choi in the house. Welcome back to Vegas, David.
Thanks for having me here.
Okay, you can cut the thing now. It's been a while, huh, for you?
What do you mean? That was good.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't bad. It just said it's been a while.
Welcome back, David.
Thanks.
Welcome back, Will. David's been on it more recently.
Yeah.
More recently.
Welcome back, me.
We're doing welcome back, me. We're back in Las Vegas, as you can see, and this is kind of a last minute one. It's a last minute podcast because I have to go to Japan. So
That's actually a cool name.
my brother's getting married. He's in Japan, destination weddings. You know,
How come you never bring your brother Kyle?
he doesn't want to do it.
Have you ever had any episode with him?
No. Kyle on the episode? No. I mean, he has a very heavy pigeon accent too, which is fine because we're trying to get Max Holloway on here next time.
Oh,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Subtitles.
Yeah. No, but
Max
I mean,
is-
I understand
Do you
when
understand?
Kyle talks to me.
Yeah, yeah. And if we get Max on, we might need some subtitles. I mean,
Really?
I don't need it. Can you understand everything Max says?
Actually,
I can.
I don't think I've ever heard him talk on UFC.
What do you mean? Max, for those of you that don't know, Max Holloway is the featherweight champion of the world. And
He also started the kick challenge, the back kick, and then
I don't think he
bottle cap
started.
challenge.
I don't think he started it. He made it famous.
Wait, no, he did.
No, he didn't. He gave credit to someone else.
Oh,
That's
really?
why he tagged John Mayer. He was one of the first
Oh.
big people to make it big. He kind of made. He didn't create it, but he made the bottle. What is it called? Bottle cap
challenge.
The
Yeah.
bottle cap challenge. Essentially, he's a fighter from Hawaii, and we're talking to some folks to get him on the show. But
be
he
dope.
has a heavy pigeon accent, so yeah.
So I mean, are you gonna document the wedding of your?
I was thinking about vlogging some. Why? You want to watch?
I mean, I think the
Oh,
fans
yeah.
probably want to meet Kyle or see him.
He's been in videos before,
Oh, he has.
but he's not. I mean, like he hasn't really talked much. It's because he has a heavy accent, pigeon accent, and I don't know if he can disguise it or not.
I like him. He's a cool guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, what has been going on?
Area 51.
That happened, yes. Since we were back in Vegas, we didn't go. Actually, Raka went. Did you see that?
No.
He actually went out and he made it in the news. Like his picture is there with him dressed up with his face all painted, and I think he was
What?
with that girl. I don't know who he was with. Someone. I think it might have been that
Riley
the
Reid.
porn girl.
Yeah, Riley
Yeah,
Reid.
I don't,
Reid
is
Riley?
that disrespectful? Adult entertainer.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he was with her. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be just like saying the wrong thing, but
How come you guys didn't go? You guys live out here.
it's
Area
actually
51.
far from here, isn't it?
I set an alarm for it and it went off and I slept in on accident.
Oh.
So basically, for those that don't know, nothing happened really, right?
Yeah,
Nobody actually stormed it, right?
that's what I heard. And then I also heard that there was a concert called Alien Fest that took place there as well.
Uh-huh.
I don't know anyone that went, and people that were asking me were like, "Yeah, you live in Vegas, you're gonna go?" And I thought they were joking, and I was like laughing, and they were like, "No, are you gonna go?" I was like, "No, I'm not."
There was millions of people signed up for it, and I
Yeah.
think I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe look up how much people actually went, but it wasn't. I saw a picture, and there wasn't that many people.
What, like
It was a
hundreds?
Good, no, maybe like 1,000. I don't know. It was a decent turnout, but I mean, nobody stormed it. Obviously, it's a joke, but I thought there would be at least one or two dummies that just rush. I'm sure maybe there was. I don't know.
I hope not.
Yeah.
It says here that there were only hundreds of people. The Guardian says that 75 people were at the gate.
Whoa.
That's it? No, there was more than that, right? I don't know.
According to
Then
the
I saw a
Guardian,
picture of something else. Then
according to the Guardian, the gate is located on the washboard dirt roads and is a rugged journey, but about 150 people managed to get within selfie distance.
Whoa.
One person was arrested at the raid,
oh, so someone did do it.
and that charge was for public urination.
So nobody actually went in, right? Right.
Damn.
Do you guys believe in aliens?
Believe in aliens. I think that's different than. I mean, if you believe that they exist,
Do you believe they
in aliens?
exist, Will?
I think so. I think it's kind of almost silly to not think they exist.
Have you ever seen one?
No, I've never had any kind of experience, which is kind of interesting to think about because if I've never had a personal experience, usually that's what I judge like my opinions on things for. But for aliens, I think in terms of how many numbers of universes there are, right? It's kind of, it would be nearly impossible for.
I mean,
them
how
to
do you
not be
define an alien though? Like,
extraterrestrial.
I think there's other things that we don't know about. If they count as aliens, then yeah.
Like the ones that you see, like the ones with the big eyes and the pointy chin or whatever.
They're called the Greys.
Yeah, the stereotypical alien. Do you believe that those types of beings may have existed or do exist?
So any form of intelligent life, maybe.
That looks kind of like what we
Yeah,
mainstream media
from outside of the Earth.
Yeah,
From outside of
I think
Earth.
it's very possible. I mean, I think a lot of people claim things from what they've seen. Obviously, we learned a lot from movies and stuff like that. And again, that could be coming from just someone's imagination, or it could be coming from real accounts. Because there has been real accounts, but who knows if they're telling the truth or not. But I think that if it's very possible that these aliens are just humans that evolved to that point, and they're actually like I said, I mean, they're like from the future.
Right.
They're the future versions of us, essentially. I mean, that's just one theory. There's so many.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know enough.
We should have like a segment if we start talking about this stuff. We all pull out tinfoil hats, and put it on. And
Remember in what was it, Scary Movie?
Yeah.
Where Charlie had the chocolate kiss on his head. But yet, I think it's possible.
definitely.
I also think it's possible that we are living in a simulation. I mean, you've heard that.
I've heard that
conspiracy
theory
before. Because there's no way. I mean, the thing is, with that theory, there's no way you can say yes or no that it's true or not. There's no way you can tell.
that we know of.
Yeah, and even if you did know, well, who cares? What can you do about it?
Right.
You know, there's nothing. If we are in a simulation right now, it doesn't matter. Like, it's nothing we can do about it, right?
Yeah. So what's like the correlation between? I mean, there is a correlation in some theories between aliens and a simulation theory, right, for the universe in some sense. Some aspects?
Aliens and simulation. Well, I was thinking that. I mean, I don't even know if I've heard this theory. Or I just thought about it. That aliens essentially they're higher levels of, and I'm just saying aliens in a broad,
intelligent beings.
Yeah, there's a level that we don't understand of level of intelligence, essentially, that if they were at that level, we wouldn't be able to comprehend it anyway. And that's like us being like they created this simulation and then we're in it.
Right.
It's like if we were to turn on The Sims and create a world for The Sims, right? And they're living in that little world, they would never know we existed controlling them.
Right. Or it's like you can't explain to an ant what a automobile is.
Right.
Right. Or you can't explain math or
Someone
whatever.
recently, I don't know where I saw this, but someone was talking about describing different dimensions or third dimension or fourth dimension. I don't know what it's called. But it's an ant. Like if an ant were on a table and there was like an object on the table and you were to take it away, it would have just disappeared to the ant. But really, we just moved it under the table or something like that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just butchering that. But yeah, I think it's possible.
But I think what I'm going to try to come at it from a different angle. But I think an ant and animals are very different. I find it tough to compare animals to human beings because, animals are instinctual. Like they act on instincts, right? You throw a bone and they're going to run after it, right? But humans, we have a soul. I believe we have a soul. And I think that we have a choice. We have free will to make a decision. Like I can decide to slap you, and I don't think that I can entertain the thought of living in a parallel universe, but because we have this free will and a choice to make and emotions, right? Which can drive us and move us in different ways. And we can also create. That's what makes us different than animals, is we actually can create pieces of art and different things. I think we're much more intelligent beings, much more, we have more depth. And like, I have a choice to like slap you right now. I could throw something at you or whatever I want to do. But to say we're in a parallel universe and it's like The Sims where, we would control this character, but I don't think there's something controlling the way that, like my decisions that I make.
How do you know? How do you know everything you just thought right now wasn't controlled by some higher intelligence that's programming you or programmed you to essentially think this in this way?
I think that's
I would like
the
to
two
say,
sides of what people believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
some people
for
believe
sure.
you can choose. Some people believe you don't.
Well, I mean, just to clarify, you're Christian.
I'm a Christian, and
And
I believe we were created by a creator that, in the creator's image. So the Christians believe that God is the creator of the universe,
Right.
Since the beginning of time,
Yep.
right? I mean, there are Christians that do believe in the Big Bang, right? That was the beginning of what happened. I mean, Christians, you'd be stupid to not believe in science, right? Science is not the complete opposite of religion.
Science is, in a way, its own religion.
It's definitely theories. There's theories and there's facts within science. But I think that, I believe we were created because the question that, I if I'm being honest, I do struggle with it sometimes in regards to were we really created, right? But I have to go back in time, and nobody was ever there, right? It could have been 1 million years ago. It could have been.
This things we argue about. Well, not argue, but we talk about a lot.
We talk about a lot because
Yeah.
we're into this kind of stuff. But, if you look at the Big Bang, it's basically two dust particles coming at each other and then hitting each other and then turning into something. But for two particles to move, there needs to be a force, right? So if there's a force, like who builds that momentum or that gives that push for that particle to even be there in the first place? Where did that particle come from? Is it energy? Like, was the universe always there? Like, why is there energy moving? There needs to be something that pushes that. So it's tough for me to believe that. So I always have to question what came before that.
So you're saying you believe that there's something behind the curtain, even at the very beginning of where science starts.
Yeah. It's like
if you're saying if the particles that collided that's the Big Bang theory, right?
Yeah.
And that's what created the universe. Universe.
Yeah.
What area was it in before that, for one, and then who created the particles is what
And
you're trying
who
to say.
created the force?
Yeah, right. And what I'm saying is, and like you said, there's no way to really know for a fact.
Yeah.
And I think with scientists too, the whole point of science is doubt, right? Like they always doubt and they're trying to learn more by doing experiments. And after X many times, they come up with a theory, right? Of doing the same thing over and over. But there's still always doubt. So there's nobody has the exact 100% answer. That's why I always say there's no 100%.
Right.
But you're saying from your perspective that, well, I mean, you struggle with it because you're very logical.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on that then?
My thought is that if I'm being extremely logical.
Well, you're a very Christian person. We can talk about that too.
I think because I'm also very logical too, and try to be as realistic as possible. I do think that, I think that it makes logical sense for me that there was something, whether it be a God of the Bible or God of whatever it was, or some sort of energy or, whatever it was. I mean, we could say that some people can say that there were aliens before us, right? That created Earth. But at the same time, it's like, okay, then where did the aliens come from? Did they have their own form of Big Bang?
Yeah, but what I mean is I mean, essentially the whole simulation thing we're talking about is almost the same theory. It's just we're renaming it we're like masking it because really the aliens are God in this scenario. In the simulation, you created the simulation, right? God created the particles or whatever you're trying to say, right? The Big Bang or whatever. I don't know the Bible well enough to compare it.
Yeah.
But essentially, is it in your head possible that God is just an alien or someone in the future or some higher level of intelligence?
I think it's
that
something
created this universe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's something worth discussing and like talking about.
Yeah, but isn't it in Christianity?
Yeah.
Almost like sinful to be thinking in that way.
No. God didn't give us a brain to think like in a box. You know, I think when God was the creator, like there are a set of rules to live by that help govern human beings, because human beings by nature are these sinful creatures, right? Like if we act on instinct, if I really acted on instinct, I would, if someone cut me off on the street, I'd want to punch them, right? But we have these rules and regulations to govern us as human beings, so that we can choose to make a good decision, choose to be a good person. We can choose to do these things, but it's ultimately the choice that we have. So with that being said, we're allowed to think about these other things. There are a lot of philosophers, even Einstein questioned this a lot too, right? So I think it's very powerful, this whole concept of free will, that we can think whatever we want to think, we can behave however we want to behave, we can dream whatever we want to dream, we could debate whatever we want to debate. And I think that's healthy to either reaffirm your faith, or if you don't agree with some of the things, then you can make that decision. I think that's the freedom that is given within this religion.
If it is, I mean, I'm just at this point, we kind of talked about some of this stuff, but just for the sake of argument,
sure.
If God created everyone, right, and he knows everything about that person, what they're going to do in their future, is that really free will though? If God, you know how everybody says, oh, this is God's path, or what, I don't know what they say, some sayings like that. If he
God's
created
will.
you, God's will, whether you made mistakes in your past and you corrected them, like you're on this certain path that God created for you, right? God created that path. Is that really free will? Because he's like in a simulation. If you compute and you put you put in a code for this character is going to think like this. He's going to believe in free will. He's going to believe, I'm going to make these mistakes. I'm going to learn from these mistakes. I'm going to believe that God created this. Is that still considered free will? I don't know if that made sense. But
no, absolutely. I know what you're asking. And I think it's a question that a lot of, people of many faiths think about, and they could struggle with it, or they'll have their own answer or feel peace.
What do you think?
So what I think is, for me, this is definitely something that I've thought about, and I am still on a journey, right, of learning and all that. But I think the way that I see it is, if we understood everything, every sort of abstract concept, then we wouldn't be God. I mean, we
would be God.
We would be God. Yeah, sorry. We would be God if we understood every single abstract concept, right? But because God, let's just say if God did exist, God would not be he wouldn't be a God if he thought on our level, right? If he thought in the way that we thought, then it just doesn't make sense, right? He wouldn't be a God. God needs to be an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, encompassing.
But
so
even like admitting that we don't think on that level, how do we know that we got it right? How do we know that? So essentially, if we're not thinking on that level, we don't know. We're just thinking in terms of what humans know and what we've learned over time from a book, right? And essentially, like we don't know for sure. Right?
We don't, but what?
So how do we know how do Christians know?
Right, so that's something called faith. So I think faith applies not only in Christianity, but I think faith can apply in your lives, just your daily lives, whether you're a Christian or not, right? You have faith that when you drive from home to the grocery store, that car coming against you on the other side with just a line dividing you isn't going to turn and crash into you and kill you. Sure. Right? You have faith that you're going to get to that destination. And I think in the same way, Christians have to operate in that way, right? I think, like I said, God gives you a choice. You can follow, and learn more about me, right? Meaning like God wants you to learn about him. So that's why he gave us, the word, so you can read through it. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching, by the way.
No, I mean, I think that's why it's interesting, because I want to see your perspective.
Yeah, so it's more like he gives you the choice. It's like, God doesn't like condemn people. Jesus doesn't condemn people, but it's more like you make certain decisions and there are consequences. So for example, like he's a just God. So, you know, if I'm gonna live a life of like killing people, obviously there's repercussions, right? Like not just human-made laws, but just like the universal law or whatever, you know, the law that you know, if you operate within Christianity, then there's judgment, right? So if you kill people for a living, or sorry, not for a living, no, that'd be a murderer, but or a assassin.
Yeah.
But you know, if you go around and live that kind of life, there are repercussions, right? You go to jail, people won't like you, your life will be ruined. So what God is saying, if you live a life of faith and you take that step in learning about me and living the way that I teach, then you'll be in line with like what I want in your life, right? Now, like you asked before, if God knows what you're going to do next,
Yep.
right? Is that free will? Does that, I mean, for me personally, I ask myself that. I'm like, no, I think I have free will because I can make decisions and I can do whatever I want. Like I said, like I can go out and treat someone horribly, or I can actually treat them nice. So I have that choice, but I think it's
You don't have that choice though,
well,
because
it's not like God's moving me like a puppet.
no. But
right?
what I'm saying is, with that theory,
Yeah.
you just said you have that choice, but you're gonna choose to be nice, right? Because that's what
Yeah.
you believe in your brain is right,
Yeah.
and God made you that way,
Yeah.
right? So isn't he really just controlling? So if he made you that way and you think that way and you've chose to do the right thing, all the people that God made that chose to do the bad thing, he created them too. So why would he essentially, if everybody's on God's path, why would God create these other paths?
I don't think everybody is on God's path. I think everyone has a choice to live along, you know, what God teaches versus making a decision to say, no, I'm
How
going
do you
to
know
live
though?
this.
How do you know that that's?
Do you know?
I don't, but I don't. That's why I'm
But
not
do you
saying
feel like
one or the other.
But do you feel you have a choice?
Well, what I feel is that I personally think that the Bible, I mean, I don't think, I've always wondered, like
Yeah.
the Bible itself is where you're learning everything that you're talking about right now, correct?
Sure.
That's where all of Christianity, we're just Christianity, not
Yeah.
all religion.
Correct.
All of
Yep.
Christianity, the one I'm most familiar with, and I've been to church a few times, but I don't really know it. I didn't grow up in it.
Yeah.
All of Christianity's, everything you know, pastors, everything they know, and so on, comes from this book. And the book, like you said, is not written by God, right? God didn't write it. Humans
God
did.
himself did not write it, but he
Humans did.
appointed,
But
humans
how did
to
you
write
learn that? You learned that from the Bible, something that humans wrote. So
Correct.
all that information, everything that you know about God, everything, even the creation of the Bible, is from other humans. It's not from God himself. He didn't, even in the Bible, it says God didn't write the Bible.
God inspired. So that's what Christians
Exactly
believe.
what
yeah.
I'm saying. So if humans aren't smart enough, just like ants, not like if humans aren't smart enough to think on God's level, how do we
Yeah.
know that the Bible got it right completely? Maybe it's close, maybe
Absolutely.
it's not.
No, and I don't know all of the answers, but I can give you like my take on what I've kind of learned. And it's that first off, there are a lot of scholars, the brightest minds, atheists and non-atheists, who study the Bible and look into it and really deeply understand it because it's such a fascinating book. Just historically, a lot of these artifacts that are in the Bible, they're digging up, and it matches exactly where it is in the Bible. So factually, it's accurate compared to some other books that
Like
are
what
out there,
things?
religions
What
or whatever.
things are matching up? What do you mean?
Like
Give an example.
like just artifacts,
Oh,
artifacts
okay.
of like different like clay pots and things like that were invented during a certain time period. It matches along with the Bible. I can't be like super accurate with it, but I've like looked into it. But I think it says something that there are very highly intelligent people who dedicate their entire lives in learning about this book, right? This historical book, and it's I think at least factually for me that is something that's pretty interesting as a logical person, right? It's like, oh, why would if this was a bogus book, why are there so many scholars studying this and teaching it and continuously digging things up and learning about it? So that's number one.
Well, on that
Yeah.
though, if that's one reason to believe that this has some validity to it,
Yeah.
then what do you think about other religions and all that? There's tons of people who believe in Buddhism, who believe in every other religion, even Scientology. Why do you think, if so many people believe in that? Not that that's like a minor example, but and we all know that's, I mean, but that's my point. It's like, just because a lot of people believe in it doesn't mean that, you know, just like science, right? If that's considered, if we consider that a religion in itself or a belief, why do so many people believe in it? Because they're taught it from a very young age, so it becomes fact. It's not a belief; it's fact, right? And they show you instances, just like in the Bible. There's things that match up. They show you instances with experiments and say like, oh, this is what gravity is, and this is because has been explained, and we can prove it, right? In the Bible, it's kind of like the same thing. Maybe not as many proofs, but we also grew up in a society that teaches you science is fact, right? And some people grew up in Christianity like yourself, and that's fact for you as well. But you know what I'm saying? What do you think about other religions? Just because a lot of people believe in it doesn't mean that it's necessarily, you know, I mean, for you, I should be asking.
No, for sure. My whole stance on this is like, everyone is free to believe in whatever they want. I don't mean to make that sound like a cop-out answer, but you know, I'm still figuring out Christianity. I don't claim to know everything, but the more that I do dive into it, the more that I do feel that more connected to it, and I do think that it becomes more real to me, and it makes more sense the deeper I go into it. So that's and to each their own, right? Like I don't want to judge someone because they are a different religion, you know, or whether that be Islam or, you know, Buddhist or whatever, right? Or Catholic. Like I think everyone, whatever makes them feel the way they, you know, it brings peace into their lives, then you know what, do it. As long as you're not hurting people, right? You can believe in whatever you want. And I really believe in the freedom thing. Like I think you have a choice. Everybody has a choice, but it's which choice are you going to make, right? It applies to everything in life, whether it's religion or your job or your education or how you decide to treat people. So I think that's the most important thing for me.
Well, just for the record too, I'm not trying to say I'm anti Christianity.
I know.
I'm just bringing up for the sake of
argument,
things that I think about. And I've always been I mean, I've talked to this with Jeremy for a long time. Jeremy Lin, super Christian, and I've talked to, you know, he's even asked his pastors and stuff, and it always comes back down to you just have to have faith, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, I think it goes to show that there's no 100%, and I think it's good for people to be open-minded enough to admit that. Like even like scientists, I think you shouldn't say there's no way Christianity, like even if it's 0.00001% that Christianity or God is real, right? To an atheist, there's no 100% because you don't know. We're not on that level. Even if you believe in science and aliens, there's no way that we would know.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I don't think anything is 100%.
But you know, there are people who will say that and believe so strongly in their own religions and in science.
You're right. Yeah.
I don't think that's helpful.
Yeah, I think people should be open-minded and learn about other, you know, thoughts and beliefs before, you know, casting any sort of judgment. And I think, you know, something like your spiritual walk, whatever it may be, whichever religion, that's a very personal thing. And I think even like talking about it right now, you know, I'm sure there's going to be controversy. There's going to be controversy. There's going to be hate, or people agree. So that's why we're having this, you know, conversation. Yeah. So, I mean,
I obviously know your beliefs, right? And you're more confident in yours than I'm still
learning.
Consider myself agnostic.
Yeah.
That's not agnostic is you believe in something.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly sure.
You're not sure what, Yeah.
I mean, the closest thing would be Christianity because, you know, half my family's Buddhist, half Christian, but I've only been to like church at, you know, because of Arden and you, and I've only been to, you know, Christian churches. But I don't really, I just don't know enough. And that's why I ask, because I'm curious.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Like the deeper you get into it, I mean, you listen to some of the people who make a case for creation. There's creationist scientists, and then there's like non-creationist scientists, and that it's pretty interesting to kind of see how they discuss things. And you know, there are Christian scientists that say our Earth is like 10,000 years old or something. I don't really know. I'm not a scientist, so I can't even verify any of that. But whether I personally don't believe it's true. I feel like the Earth is a little older than that. But some of them make a case and they debate it amongst other scientists. They talk about carbon dating and how the traditional way of carbon dating is actually inaccurate. Some people argue that, and then some people I don't know. I can't even comment on that. I don't even know what I'm talking about the science part because
the reason is because, and I think why it's become such a, I don't know. People have become so arrogant about it. I feel like more and more are obviously just, I feel like Christianity is still huge, obviously, right? But it was bigger when we were younger for some reason. I just feel like more people now say, okay, science is fact. Because we grew up with that, right? And a lot of people don't necessarily, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I think the majority are for science now as opposed to like 20 years ago when we were growing up.
I actually feel like it's growing.
You think so?
Yeah, at least from my perspective.
Maybe it's in your groups.
Do you think that has to do with the progress of science?
Maybe. Or like people who are becoming famous aren't just like, back in our day, growing up, it was like every athlete thanks God, everyone gives credit to God. Now it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan and like people who have alternate theories that aren't just Christian based, right? Even like saying the Pledge of Allegiance and people having an issue with that. It's like that. It's just a different time. Nobody would ever come out 20 years ago and be like, my son or daughter does not have to say to God in the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
Yeah.
But now that's an issue.
I also think that today, in today's time, like within the past, few years or whatever, I think Christianity has definitely gotten a bad rep. And I think it's also been misrepresented. And I think the people who comment on the religion itself are commenting about the people.
The minority.
The people who are in power in churches and whatnot, and the leaders. But the religion itself, if you actually research it, it's like with anything, right? Like people can hear about like rumors about you, but if they don't really know you as a person, right, they won't truly understand where you come from. In it's like the media. The media paints a certain type of picture, and I think a lot of people have done that to Christianity. But most of the Christians I know, they're not like that. It's just like in every religion and every belief system, there's always bad people in it, and there's also a lot of good people. So it's with anything. Like I think it's like I said, it's a personal thing. So if one is interested, they should dive deep and learn more as much as they can on their own. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that a Christian would say is, just research and read the Bible, and then for yourself, and then just see what happens. Mm-hmm. Like, and then maybe you'll experience something. Maybe you'll feel something, and maybe that's something that you can hold on to, I guess, and see where that goes. I don't know, like to each their own, but I think Christianity has definitely gotten a bad rep.
Definitely in recent times, especially with like, gay people and the rise of like equal rights and stuff like that. It's associated with it. I feel like it's kind of chilled out a little bit. Yeah. But it was pretty bad to be it was like almost like a negative thing to be Christian for a little bit. Yeah. At least on social media. And maybe it's just in my circle. I don't know.
And like Christianity, if you go deep into it, it's all about love. Like God is love. Like, and I know that sounds hokey pokey, but like that is the message. So I think if people actually look into it and really dive into it, like that's what they'll learn. Not from what everybody else is saying.
Here's the other question I have for you, because I don't know. In the Bible, is it wrong to doubt Christianity? And is it wrong to think and believe in other religions? Because I heard that it is.
Like I said, God gives you the choice.
Yeah.
And
will you go to hell if you die believing in another religion, or if you die doubting there's a God?
Man,
according
you
to the
gotta-
Bible.
You got to ask me this tough question.
I know.
Controversial question.
No, but I mean, like, no, I'm not asking you specifically.
No,
You
yeah,
know the
so
answer.
me
but,
personal, okay,
but
I'll give you
based
my-
on the Bible
Sure.
that you've learned
Yep.
over from your pastors,
Yep.
from your own reading,
Yep.
do you believe that the Bible is saying, Christianity is saying, if you don't believe in our religion, or if you don't believe in God, then you will go to hell when you die?
The short answer is that in Christianity, if you do not believe that Jesus Christ is your creator and is the Messiah, the one who died for your sins, then yes, you'll not go to heaven. That's what Christianity.
Right.
That's what Christianity
Which
teaches.
I've heard.
Now, if you're asking about my beliefs, that is definitely something that I struggle with, something that I think about a lot, if I'm being really honest. And I think it's not just me. I think a lot of Christians think in that way. I would say most probably think in that way, and they've thought about this sort of thing and struggled within their own mind, right? And I like to think about both sides. Like, there are those who are very firm, like, if you're not a Christian, you're going to go to hell, right?
Yeah.
And that's one way of expressing that what they've learned. The other is more like me in the middle, like, I don't know. I just don't know, right? If would an all loving God send people to hell, right? Or allow people to make a decision? That's the other
That's
thing.
what I'm saying.
Make a decision to go to hell.
He created
versus-
those people that went to hell too.
Yeah. So and like the other side of me, if I play devil's advocate, well, I don't know about devil's advocate in this situation, but
Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
if God is a just God, right? Is there such thing as can you feel love without hate? Can you hate without love? Right? It's maybe that sort of thing. Maybe like those are like the ideas that I think about in my head.
Yeah.
Or the concepts that really confuse me, to be
Yep.
honest. But I can't answer that. It's hard because it sounds evil for me to answer it that way.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, and that's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Because these are things that I think a lot of people question,
Yeah.
right? And like I said, it doesn't go anywhere. That's why I'm perfectly fine with anyone believing in anything. But the people that believe so hardcore in one thing, right? Like, that's the people that I think need to be a little bit more open-minded. I mean, I'm not telling you
Absolutely.
to not believe in what you believe, because everyone has that right. And I don't think you should get scrutinized. I'm like defending myself. I don't think you should be scrutinized for questioning those things.
I don't think there's anything in the Bible that
You know,
says,
I'm gonna get screwed, and so are you for like being Christian. They're gonna,
I know. I'm
David's
sorry,
so dumb."
guys. I'm sorry for
Don't say sorry,
everybody.
And then there's gonna be people like me who get all the Christians that are like, "Oh my God, he's so," but that's not. He's so anti. I'm not trying to disprove.
I don't
anything.
think you sound anti anything.
I know, but you know how people twist words and stuff like that. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting, and I don't know. We never talked about religion really.
I know it's a very
It's
touchy.
controversial.
It's super controversial.
We're just having a discussion. I don't think there's anything wrong. I've had this discussion with pastors, and they don't. Maybe they do hate me after. I haven't talked to them since, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
To come from a perspective of someone who's didn't grow up in the church, essentially. I don't know, Will. We did kind of left you out there. I don't know if you have anything to contribute there.
On which one? On what topic? Or what was it? On what question?
Just like
I was just letting you guys are having like a really good back and forth, and I was just listening.
No, I'm just asking him a lot of questions that I guess don't really have answers. We should just bring on a pastor and a scientist on the same show.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing.
All right.
But we do talk about this outside of the podcast.
We do, and we have, but not necessarily in this much detail.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. You're not very religious, are you?
Wait, what?
Are you
Did you ask me a
religious?
question?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Oh, just your thoughts about what
Yeah,
we
what
were
are
talking about?
yeah.
On the
what are-
entire subject?
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah.
This is kind of it's not really like a science versus religion debate.
Yeah.
It's just me coming from. I'm not even on one side. I don't know enough to know. That's where I'm coming from.
I mean, I mean, you guys said so many different points that I agree with, so I'd rather not like repeat those, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of similar in your sense that I didn't grow up in a household that had
Religion.
very structured religion. Like I think both of my parents were mostly Christian or Catholic or some form of that, and we never went to church. But I think me, like growing up, my parents did a good job of instilling like morals and stuff like that without religion. And then it was kind of up to me, and I was kind of fortunate enough to be able to have friends in different religions, and they could kind of imprint positive messages on me, You know what I mean? Like I had someone who was Sikh. I had a friend that was Christian. And so, you know, like it's stuff like love thy neighbor and like, you know, the positive messages. I feel like I was fortunate enough to absorb without, that's why I don't really feel that I can even speak on like a lot of this stuff because I never read the Bible. Like I don't, you know
Well,
what
I mean, that's
So-
why I was just asking questions, because if there's an answer, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
And it's not me. The things I ask are sounds like I'm trying to just poke a hole in your theory, but really, that's just how I learn.
No,
I like to question things.
I
Like
think that my point of view being that, like that, how I grew up, I was kind of just under the impression of just be open-minded. Like you were saying, or you want people to be open-minded. That's kind of what I grew up as. It was like, I was just open-minded to so many different things around me because I was fortunate enough to go to like a school at a place that had a lot of different kids with a lot of different ethnicities and religions. And so I don't know. I mean, I think that's a pretty unique, like, I'm sure like a lot of people didn't have that experience. Yeah. And so when it comes to like me commenting on, even asking of like, I don't know about, what was the one that you asked David that said, I don't know. It's just like, I don't feel like maybe I have the experience to talk on that specifically. So
yeah, no, I think like I said, spirituality and in what you believe is really, like I said, a personal thing and something that we all have. We all go through it because we're all gonna die, right? Like
true.
Like I don't know about you. Like how do you feel about like after you die? Like what is
like what do I want to? I hope happen.
Maybe talk about what you hope could potentially happen, or what you think is actually going to happen. Or
I see it. I have a struggle between kind of like you, where you have like a logical way of thinking about it, and there is a part of me that, you know, it could be that the lights just go out, and it's not like bad or good. It's just your existence is no longer, right? The neurons in your brain no longer fire, and that's it. It's like you don't have any pain, you don't have any suffering, you don't have positive emotions, you don't have negative emotions. But then there's a side of me who's been influenced from the society and culture and religion and stuff like that, where I think, okay, well, what I would hope to happen was that, you know, maybe there is like some form of heaven and that it's positive and you show up, and maybe there's some form of judgment, but it might not be based on whatever religion is. Maybe it might just, I hope that it's just based on what type of person you are, right? So if there's something that judges you that go, okay, how did you live your life? Did you kill people? Did you help people? What was your intentions behind doing this? What was your intentions behind doing that? And then you get judged on, okay, if you're a good person, you're in this good place, right? That's kind of what I hope happens. Rather than maybe being specifically narrowed into one religion, because I don't know, you know, there's always that question of like one thing that I remember questioning when I was younger was that for people who haven't experienced Christianity, if they're on the completely opposite side of the continent and they've never even met someone who's Christian or know anything about it, how do they get into heaven if they can't, if they've never been experienced with it? That was one thing that I struggled with as like a child, because I felt like it's, you know, what's that? How do you answer that? And then, so that's just kind of like me bridging the gap in like my hopes, which is like, okay, well, I hope it's just like, okay, live a good life, be a good person, help people, and you'll be rewarded in the end. You know what I mean? Regardless of what you believe specifically in structured religion. So,
because even like you think about it like this, like even babies that pass away, or like kids that didn't have a chance to get into, like, how they cannot accept Jesus, right? Because they can't comprehend it.
Mm-hmm.
They've never had time to learn it. Do they go to hell? That's a messed up thing. Babies go to hell because if they die as a baby, you go to hell because you can't accept Jesus. You can't comprehend it. I don't know what the answer is to that. But
trust me,
it doesn't sound right.
Trust me, every Christian has probably thought about this already.
There must be an answer for it then in the Bible.
There are some answers in theories, but ultimately they are theories because we're not God and we don't know. I think God is a fair God. If there's a God, God would be a fair God, a God of love and. But a just God as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like a father figure, right? A father figure, you're gonna discipline your child if you want them to grow up right? You're not gonna just let them do whatever they want, right? Mm-hmm. I think in the same way, sorry, what was the main topic again? Sorry.
No, like if you're saying, I mean,
well, babies,
yeah,
people who haven't heard. So whatever judgment that they're going to receive, that's really up to God. It's not up to us to really determine. because there's a story in the Bible of like this, when Jesus was crucified, there were two people next to him. They were both robbers, and one of them, was a criminal. Like he was being hung there because he was a criminal. And, he asked, one of them was like ridiculing Jesus. And then the other one was like, hey, don't ridicule him. He was a good man. And Jesus basically told the guy who defended him, I'd say, I'm going to see you in heaven. Like, it's like, you have that choice. Like I said, it comes down to that. And if I'm being honest, like, would I say that my choice in diving deeper into this religion is out of fear? In the beginning, yes, it was a little bit. I didn't want to go to hell, right? But the more that I learn about it, the more that I find that it's less about heaven and hell. It's more about feeling peace in every circumstance, whether it's good or bad. It's like a learning experience. And it's also learning more about this being that's out here or here or wherever it is, right? Just here that created, like, why am I here? Like, that's the big question I have for myself is, what am I supposed to be doing? I just met a guy who sold a company in China for like $900 million. He's like, yeah, I spent 6 months just spending money, and I got really depressed. It's like, what
does he do now?
Now he's like starting like education companies and stuff because he wants to help people.
So that's what he found out in those 6 months. Like, now that I have reached the goal, right? I've talked about this before too. Yeah. Of like, once you get to a certain level of, what you always thought you wanted and you get that, then you start to think about, oh, well, that's not enough.
Yeah.
To be happy.
Exactly. So what the Bible teaches is that, like, just be grateful in every circumstance, right? Whether things are good or whether things are bad, because that's the only way to remain truly fulfilled in life. Because none of these material things will ever bring you joy. Now, are they there for you to enjoy? Yes, of course. But and there's nothing in the Bible that tells you can't enjoy things, right? But it's more about along the journey. How does this religion play a part in your life? And like I said, if Buddhism is what gets you through life, or Catholicism, or if you're Islam, like, yeah, if that's what it is, then go for it. But to each their own.
Cool. Well, that was turned into a very controversial.
I know.
I don't know if it's controversial actually. I mean, it's just a topic that is going to trigger some people.
Yeah, I mean,
regardless.
I'm my intention is not to offend anybody. Like I said, in terms of Christianity, I'm still on this journey. I'm still learning, right? And I do time to time look into other religions too, just researching and seeing what
you're going to get. You don't have to put a disclaimer. You're going to get hate regardless.
I know, but
so am I.
Yeah.
Will be fine.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You didn't say anything really controversial.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to take a quick shishi break and we'll be back. And we're back. And we're back. So on a less serious topic. I mean,
thank you for sharing that.
That was very interesting.
Yeah, no,
a lot of people. I don't say a lot of people, but I do think there is a correlation that people have with being uncomfortable talking about religion, and especially with people that have different views. And not to say that ours are different, but I don't know. I think it's cool to hear different perspectives.
Ninja Milk. Get your Ninja Milk fix today.
Thanks.
NinjaMilk.com. Get it.
Actually, get it on Walmart.com, because we sent them a bunch. So we got to sell those out. It actually has been sold out in a lot of places. So thank you for people who bought on Walmart.
It's amazing.
It's delicious.
We're trying to get it to actual stores.
Like 7-Eleven?
We're trying to, but it's going to be, it's us trying to prove that we can sell. And we have been. So thank you guys for that. But you got to sell more in order to convince them.
I've had multiple people, and I actually like it when they ask me, like, what's your unbiased opinion on it, right? And legitimately, it's delicious. It's good. It doesn't make you feel super wired, like doesn't make you feel jittery, but it gives you, like, for me at least, the amount of caffeine that like amount of cup of coffee, which is perfect. You know, doesn't make it doesn't. It's like not as acidic. You know, sometimes energy drinks can be super acidic.
That's kind of the goal I was trying to go for.
Yeah, it's smooth.
The number one complaint I get is that, oh, why can't you make a dairy-free option?
Right.
And honestly, I don't know if I can legally say this, but like I've been told from other people, because I can't say personally from the brand's perspective, that they're lactose intolerant. They drank a can and they were fine.
Yeah,
that's what I was told from like my brother. His his fiance is super like lactose intolerant, and she can drink it. My brother's the same way. My mom too. I don't know why. Maybe I am. Maybe that's why I'm gassy all the time, because I shouldn't be eating like cheese and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Do you think it could be because the milk is not American milk? It's European milk?
Maybe. It's just a small amount. It's such a tiny amount of milk that I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble by saying that, but I haven't heard complaints of people who drank it that are lactose intolerant having like really bad breakdowns or whatever it's called, flare-ups, intolerance. I don't know why we're turning it into a commercial, but yeah, Walmart.com, go in /Ninja Milk. I don't know if that's right.
I don't know if
it's on there.
Yeah, it's on Walmart's site, and if not, then you can go to ninjamilk.com.
I'm curious to all the listeners on Off the Pill. What are your religious beliefs, and what do you believe in?
You brought it back to religion.
Comment below. Because I'm curious. Because this is a topic that's I know it's controversial, but it's also very fun for me to talk about because it's.
Is it? Did we say anything controversial though?
And I don't even know if I would. I mean, I get what you're saying when you say it's controversial, but
is it?
No, I get what he's saying when he says it's controversial, but I don't know. I
don't think it is. We didn't say like one or the other, like, oh, this is what you should believe in.
I think we're
just asking questions.
True.
Unless that's wrong, which I don't think.
In today's society, it is wrong to ask questions.
And to have doubt and not believe.
And like you were saying, it's like questions you would ask a pastor.
Yeah.
And in my perspective, I would say that's what that's for, is like, you know, going to your pastor and having like these conflicts. Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know.
And even pastors themselves, they question everything too. Just the same things that all intellectuals question, they have to question themselves. Otherwise they would be hypocrites, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Teaching this religion, but they believe in it so much that they are so convinced because of how much they have learned and experienced that they feel compelled to teach it. But they don't know the answers either. Nobody knows all the answers to everything. Otherwise, we'd be God.
So, I mean, with that belief, technically, like what we're saying is, as much as I grew up and I believe the theory of science, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. I think science is a theory in general, right? It's not, like we said, there's no 100%.
Yeah, it's
series fact.
It's fact.
There's scientific fact, but it's still scientific fact, not, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think a fact is a fact.
Well, I've seen
there's
both
theories and facts within science.
Yeah. But we're just arguing almost just the words behind it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, but you know what I mean?
Right.
There's no 100%. We kind of discussed that. Like, shoot, I forgot who said it. But anyway, with science, like, let's say all of a sudden, for all of time that we remember, if you pick up an apple and drop it, because of gravity, it'll fall, right? It'll fall and hit the floor. For how many years have we believed in gravity, or have we documented this? What if one day, for whatever reason, someone picks up an apple, drops it, and it doesn't hit the floor? Then all of a sudden, gravity is not a thing? Is there an explanation for that? Or maybe we didn't completely understand it. It's not a long enough period of time that humans have been able to, I guess, investigate into science.
I think I know what you're trying to say.
I think I'm really confusing myself.
I think in terms of like gravity and stuff, I think the formulas have been proven.
They've been proven because it happens every single time you plug in. It works out every single time, right? I'm just saying
hypothetically.
Yeah, but there's no infinite calculator that shows the. What am I trying to say? It shows the result. Like, let's say 100 million billion years from now, someone drops an apple and it doesn't fall. And it disproves the theory of gravity. That means gravity was never 100% fact. And who's going to say that it will in 100 billion years? Maybe it might change. Maybe it never really was there. Maybe something else that we don't know, that we didn't discover, is actually causing this phenomena. That's all I'm saying. I know it sounds super out there, but I'm just giving that perspective of like, that is a tiniest, even if I don't, if I'm 0.0001% believing that, is a possibility.
Absolutely. And I think,
Right?
like, I mean, and you know what? I think that
I might be wrong. Maybe a scientist can come tell me, but like,
I think life is about believing in what you've experienced.
yeah.
And, I mean, if we think like that about everything in life, then
You can't live.
You can't live. It's like
No, but I
it's
mean,
like a torturous
no,
life.
it just becomes a choice, right? It's because I've seen things fall enough to understand. I've learned what explains this reason why things fall to the ground. I mean, wasn't Einstein wrong about gravity initially? I could be thinking of the wrong person.
I think I'm kind of following what you're saying.
Yeah, let's get a scientist on. I really do want to get. I've always wanted to get. Had my physics teacher back in Hawaii.
Oh,
And actually a biology teacher that I really like. But there's two teachers that I've always wanted to have on the podcast. I don't know when I would make that happen because they're both teachers in Hawaii. Two of them I like, and I just wanted, I don't know, have a bunch of random questions like this that I would just like to answer. Same thing with a pastor I would like to ask. But I would want to find like someone who feels like a pro, like they're a pro at what they do and they know everything.
yeah.
I would love to just like question them.
That would be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, if you're a really, really knowledgeable pastor out there or science teacher that want to be on the show, and you have some credibility, we're looking.
Send
I
us
think that would be fun.
send us a tweet if you guys are any of those people.
At Off the Pill on Twitter and at Off the Pill Podcast on Instagram. So, I mean, we'd have to vet them though, because what if they're like just I don't know, some crazy person?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm open to. I think we should start expanding to not just our friend group, but people that are just like interesting
Thought
people.
leaders, yeah.
Yeah. You guys could also recommend who you guys want us to reach out to as well. We're always looking for new people. Ideally, people who are willing to come to Vegas, but we'll do it in LA too.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, this went in a direction I wasn't expecting. We started off with Area 51 and made our way to aliens. Aliens controlling a simulation versus, I guess, science versus religion. Yep. Wasn't planning on that, but that's the way the cookie crumbled. So,
And it crumbled all right.
well,
I had fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for having me here in Vegas.
I'm already just picturing the comments.
Thank you, David, for your
Yeah, thanks for
honest
coming out.
assessment.
Of course.
We will get a real a pastor in and a scientist one day. So,
Yeah.
like we said, hit us up. We are open to the idea. I think it would be interesting.
Mhm.
And if this is the most boring podcast ever, we're sorry, but I was interested. That's why we stuck on the same topic basically the whole time. But with that being said, remember, follow us at Off the Pill on Twitter, at Off the Pill Podcast on Instagram, and pretty much that's it. We end this the same way in 3, 2, 1. So, religion. Let's talk about it.